Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Bitcoin, seeing what's going on, of course. And yesterday, as a matter of fact, we hit our take profit target here for our Bitcoin short when the price wicked down there for that head and shoulders pattern. We're going to look at that and see if that's going to be able to continue to sustain itself, or if this may just be a discontinuation of that potential pattern and the price just keeps going up. There's definitely potential for that, but I do also feel more. I'm still leaning more towards the price coming down than going up. We have lower highs, lower lows. There's a lot of little reasons there, and we'll talk about that here, okay? So if you are new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I hope you can learn something here today, of course. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site, link down below. And look forward to working with you there. We got some really awesome community members. Here's that little trade we took yesterday for our Bitcoin short, 20% in 8 hours. Basically just entered in at 30,600, hit 30,000 even. We still got a few other profit targets open. So that trade is still open, and I feel comfortable we're going to be able to hit those other targets. But again, I'll explain why more so here in the near future in this video. Kind of make sure to stick around so you can kind of see, because it's not like a bumper sticker answer, right? It can't just be, this is the one reason. There's a lot of little things that kind of add up, right? And that's what trading is all about, is kind of finding out a lot of different strategies and making them work instead of just one indicator to rule them all. There's no such thing, right? All right, so we want to look at first things first. Let's go ahead and jump into the back end here with the high block capital data. And let's go ahead and see kind of what's going on here. So we can kind of identify that, and we talked about this yesterday, but it was low volume for the weekend. So generally speaking, we're still seeing a lot more asks than bids, basically meaning that more people globally are trying to sell than buy. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're shorting, it just implies that they're trying to take profit at this level. That mostly implies that we're probably close to a resistance level or a range where the price could pull back because there's more of sentiment thinking the price is maxed out. Again, just hypothetically, that's where we're at. We can see that the retail volume is coming down as well, which kind of tells us we're also hitting somewhat of a plateau. We've got more longs open than closed today, but equally, also very similar here, not a tremendous amount, but we also have some shorts entering the market too. So they're both kind of outweighing each other, or it's negligible, if you will. And we don't have a lot of volume here so far today. While it's more than yesterday, of course, cumulative, and the trading day isn't over yet, this is still very low volume for a Monday. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here later today when the market starts coming to a close. That said, we take a look here at open interest. Let's see if the longs are in the green or underwater. Longs right now at 30,300, they're just barely in the green. And so we got that. We got some late longs also here at about 30,600, 30,550, and they are underwater. Okay, so try not to be a late long. And at this point, it just makes a lot more sense that shorts are going to be successful based on the way that the price action is forming. Okay, I'll explain by that what I mean by that here in a moment. But for lack of better terms, there's not a lot to really extract here on the open interest. It's just a large amount of volume, obviously right at this range, about 30,500. That's kind of the par, if you will. Okay, so let's take a look at the daily and kind of see what's going on. Actually, why don't we just take a quick peek at a few other things here, first of all. We've got some interesting stuff here. Just I want to kind of highlight this as well so you're kind of aware of it. We do have a CME gap here. It's not huge, but it's right there between 30,750 and 31. So there's a good chance we'll probably see a wake up to 31,000, potentially in the near future, but also maybe in the distant future. There's no guarantees on this. These don't get filled instantly, but if you look kind of at its history here, for the most part, these CME gaps, they'll stay open for a couple of 2 to 3 trading days, maybe a week tops, and they're usually filled. Some take longer, but I would expect this week maybe to see a candle wake up to 31,000. We may even see that today. I don't personally subscribe to that, but again, that's just my opinion, right? Again, no one is right or wrong in this market. Actually, some people can be more wrong than right. Whatever, you know what I mean by that. All right, so let's take a look here. We can see Bitcoin dominance hitting somewhat of a plateau here. That happens when we have range-bound activity. Nothing to concern ourselves with. We've got altcoins kind of jumping back a little bit, but they're still down in the overall sense of things. So if you look at how much, how down alts are since January, they're getting hit pretty hard in the overall sense. So be careful, taking longs with altcoins today. Or just in general, I would say that it's best to kind of sit on the sidelines and or consider shorts depending on where they're at. I've got my eyes on Bitcoin Cash and NEAR. I'll cover those here in a moment. That said, though, when it comes to Bitcoin, let's go ahead and kind of see what's going on here. So let's zoom into a chart that doesn't have anything going on. I actually drew this out here just earlier. It's not like anything big, but it's just kind of a descending trend that we're starting to see in the last 3 to 4 trading days. So we're starting to see lower highs, which kind of implies that the price action is obviously coming down. It also tells us that there's potential for a breakdown versus a breakup. Now, you got to recognize that this kind of candlestick pattern, when the price action is essentially coming up here and wicking out a few times, it's common to break down until it doesn't, right? And basically what it will happen, we'll see either a break up or break down soon. So I would say this week we'll have a definitive direction if we're going to go up or down. But for the most part, when you have an ascending type of trend like this, it'll commonly break upwards, okay? The reason why I don't feel like that is the case is just based on the simple fact that we have, okay, I'll explain here in a minute, just stay with me here. Okay, so we have a descending type of trend that one way or the other we're gonna see a break up or break down here soon, right? But these candle wicks, when we see a lot of doji candles like this, it shows weakness in the market, indecision, and oftentimes you'll see the price action come down. We've got somewhat of a gravestone doji candle closed yesterday. Today, I guess you could say somewhat of a morning star. Those basically cancel each other out. You could basically just say they're two doji candles in a row. But when you have a doji candle at the very top of an uptrend, it usually spells reversal. And that's kind of more so what I'm thinking here is the candlesticks are telling us that we're having this indecision in going up, and unless we can be range bound for a week or longer, we're probably going to see the price come down. So my sentiment here is the price will continue to increase if we stay sideways and hold 30,000 for at least another 7 trading days or just a full week. If we get this one week candle to close at this level, 30,000 or higher, we'll be in good shape. However, you got to recognize that there's a lot of other situations here where we got these monthly closes. Our 1 month high last month is at 29,900. That does reaffirm we have a support level there. However, our 1 month open is at 29.5, and of course, you take a look at our weeklies. These are also different as well. Again, this weekly just opened, so these are the current ones, but previous weeks are always all down there about the 26, 27,000 range. So I'm not saying we're going to come down to that level. I just feel like we're going to see 30,000 probably retested again and potentially broken to maybe that 29.1 range. Okay, again, I covered that yesterday. If you saw that, 29,100 is kind of an area there to pay attention to. All right, so let's take a quick look at some other things here. We got the relative strength index kind of trending right around 70. You can only maintain this price point for so long. Okay, so unless we see a surge upwards soon, we're going to see that break down, and that'll work as a resistance level. That does imply that 30,500 should be the new resistance moving forward. Okay? That being said, if we take a look at stochastic as well, we can see that's also peaked out. So we've got stochastic and regular relative strength index, both telling us that we have this turnaround potential. Okay? You couple that with MACD starting to lose its momentum. Again, if we do not have a break up past 30,500 or just say 31,000 this week, there's a greater chance the price will come down. So this may be more so of a longer term play, but generally speaking, we're in a situation right now where the price action is looking like it wants to come back down. All right, that's roughly where we're at there for the Bitcoin daily. The last thing we want to summarize with here is that we're above all 3 moving averages, still bullish. By no stretch is this just going to drop like a rock. I do feel as if we're going to have a lot of support at the 29,000 range if we do break 30. Okay, please understand that. So we're not in dire straits by any stretch. It just, a natural correction would make sense. That's just kind of what I'm getting at. And speaking of natural correction, when I talked about this yesterday, I sent out a picture here. Basically, if you remove, just say this guy here, that's basically the head and shoulders pattern. We can see here though, if we look at, hold on, actually, let's pull this back up. The Elliot wave, we can see that this guy is performing almost the exact same scenario. So let's go ahead and again get rid of that. This is Elliot wave on the 4 hour, telling us that we have a higher high to hit this 3, higher low, and then higher high. Typically, it's followed by an ABC pattern. We've hit our A and our B. Now our C should technically go lower than our previous low, or a previous higher low, essentially. So what I'm getting at here is that there's a stronger chance we're going to see 29.5 revisited, just based on this candlestick pattern. But if you also kind of take into consideration the fact that we have this head and shoulders pattern, we got the head right here, 2 shoulders, there's a good chance we're going to be able to see the last leg down here somewhere. Okay. Now again, it's elongating itself. This may not come to fruition, but there seems to be somewhat of an inevitability for the price action to come down than it would be to go up. Okay. Again, that's just kind of my thoughts there. These are candlestick patterns and different chart patterns. They're all kind of coming to a head. So for the most part, those things have a higher statistical probability of going in that direction than they would the other way around. Keep in mind there's a lot of movement between now and then that can occur. Okay, so let's take a look at some stuff here. So first of all, RSI is holding above 50. That's typically a positive sign. We also can see the MACD is starting to lose its momentum to the downside. Okay? Now again, it does that. It's like that over-exaggeration from this massive upswing. So it's not something to really read into. If we look at the moving averages, we did lose the 20, and this is now working as a resistance. So as the 20 starts to average itself out, we should see the price come down with it. Okay. Keep in mind, we've got the 50 working its way up, roughly there at 29,100. So again, 29.1 to 29.5 are two support ranges. There's a reason why we have 29,500 as a take profit target, because there's a likelihood that we'll see that wick down, but if that doesn't happen, we still took our profit. We took what, I think 60, 70% profit in the first target. Again, different strategies, but those are kind of just ways to help secure yourself. That being said, take a look at the 1 hour. We can kind of see here that we're looking pretty decent here in the sense of the price action continuing to downtrend. Okay? So if we just kind of draw this little line out here, we can kind of see the price action is continuing to hit lower highs. And again, that's just kind of what I'm referring to previously. When you have lower high patterns, it's going to continue until it doesn't. So unless we can break above and start to close like this, again, some sideways action or up, then we're going to be in a position right now where the price action should continue lower. All right, so again, we got to assume the trend will continue until it doesn't. So on the 1 hour, let's go ahead and just summarize here and call it a day. We are now below the cloud. This is kind of working concurrent with that trend line, and the likelihood of the price continuing lower from here is higher based on the fact that we are on the wrong side of those tracks, or the other side. We don't have a lot of the conversion line baseline kind of breaking even. We also have the lagging span intersecting with the price action. This does imply if you have a short position open, you may want to consider closing it or having taken your profits, which again, we've done already. But simply put, at this point, it seems much more probable for the price to continue lower than higher. Last thing we want to maybe take a quick look at is, of course, the TD sequential. We can see we came down to a 9, we became overextended, pushed even further. Now it's trying to work its way up, but it's getting a lot of different, I guess you could say resets. Okay, so at this point here, Bitcoin is looking like it wants to continue lower, and there's not a lot of, certainty here at this point that the price is going to turn itself around. And again, lower highs, lower lows. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty obvious that we are moving down. Okay, again, that does come to an end at one point or another. In fact, you can kind of identify that typically on the 15-minute. When you see stochastic like this, for example, coming down, you can see we're more likely to see a bounce, and we're bouncing off of 50 on the RSI. So the price could very well continue higher, but if we do not establish a higher low, or correction, a higher high, then we're in a situation where we're going to probably see this continuation down. Because we do have, technically, if you look at the 15-minute time frame, we do have a higher low. Okay, but this one right here, if we cannot get past it on this next push-up, we're not going to be in good shape. So ultimately, if the price comes up and doesn't surpass 30,600, then we're going to be in a position where the price will likely continue lower. Okay, so again, that's roughly where we're at here for the moment. I do feel like we have mostly bearish signs. And again, if we close this doji candle here today at 30,400 or lower, there's a significant probability the price will continue lower from here, and that we're going to be in a position where the price will retest that 29,000 range. Okay, we'll revisit that conversation. We got a lot of support at the 28,000 to 29,000 range. I don't foresee it dumping hard, but I do foresee the price action coming down to retest that 29,000 range. It just kind of seems like a probability at this point. So I hope that this is beneficial for you, and I hope that it works out the way that it should or could. And if it doesn't, you learn from your mistakes, right? That's exactly how it works. So make sure you're not taking trades based on other people telling you what they're going to do. Use your own risk management, use your own risk tolerance, and develop those skills. Those are all things you can develop on our, basically in our membership package there. So be sure to check that out. CryptoCash.tech. I've got a lot of good resources there. There's a lot of videos that can help you kind of educate yourself on how to become a better trader, a little more self-sufficient. Again, we all learn in different ways, but I hope to look forward to working with you if you want to become a better trader. Again, CryptoCash.tech is a site. Also, be sure to check out our affiliates, BingX and BitGet, both phenomenal exchanges. BingX is really nice because there's no VPN or KYC required, and a lot of our US members benefit from that. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll see you all in the next one. Take care.